So obviously this all comes down to money and the debate on whether to cut mental resource funding or to continue having police officers in school is something that's been brought into light. Um, so to anyone, I know Nate, you're heavily involved in this conversation recently, but what are all of your thoughts on school resource officers? And do you think that we should focus more towards mental health resources rather than having SROs in school?
Yeah. So, uh, head on the dot. And I know Matt and Anani have been vocal on this issue as well. So, to start, um, I think a lot of us have good relationships with our SROs. I mean, these folks, a lot of these folks are people of good character. But one thing that I've recognized, and after going through the data actually last night as well, is that we are criminalizing our Black youth over the past 4 years twice more than their white peers. And in some years, over 4 times our Black and brown youth. I mean, we're creating a disservice to these students. And instead of punishing a student by putting them through the criminal system, you're supposed to ask the question, what is the real problem? It's not them being, I mean, we just need to have counselors step in, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. We need to have mental health professionals step in instead of our first resource being a person with an armed person with a bulletproof vest and a badge. The real problem right now is, how are we going to stop funding the school to prison pipeline? And it's going to be a few things. If and this is one thing that Matt and I have worked on. If it's, from the start right now, you have to reimagine this system, because right now it's not working the way it should, or that it was intended to at all. Second, if we are going to have SROs, then our memorandum of understanding with our local law enforcement has to say that the SROs do not have complete authority in the school buildings. It should be principals. There should be folks that resort to MCPS practices before putting our students in the criminal database. And that's one thing that needs to happen as well. But I think right now, SROs are not providing the best service that they can to a lot of our students. The numbers tell the truth statistically. It's spelled out clear that Black and brown students are put into the prison system or arrested more than their white peers, and they only represent 21% of this district. I truly don't believe that our mental health professionals, counselors, administrators are stepping in before SROs and incidents with our white and non-students of color. Uh, Something needs to change, and I think that right now it's removing our SROs, diverting the funding to more mental health services, and starting from there. And if they want to bring this program back, then you reimagine it, just as I've heard from Matt recently.
Yeah, to me, the anecdote that defines SROs is, this was when I was either a freshman or a sophomore. An SRO at prom, the SRO was there, and a student was doing, a dumb student thing, which was drinking at prom, and the SRO body slammed her. Right? It's this disproportionate response that's the issue to dumb kid things. We all do dumb kid things. That's the point of being a kid: getting in fights, trespassing, cheating. You do dumb things as a kid. You endure the consequences, and you learn and you grow. It's part of growing up. The issue is when you involve the criminal justice system in that process, dumb kid things become criminal things, and you get funneled through the criminal justice system, and it irreparably changes your life. So yeah, SROs were initially put in schools to better build community police relationships. It was a community policing measure. They were there to build relationships with the young people. But I don't think any of us interpret SROs as that now. We interpret them as armed security for our schools that are responsible for breaking up fights, for punishing students, for arresting students. That's not the purpose of the program. That was not the intent of the program. And it shows that the program is fundamentally broken. We should end the criminalization of our schools. Our schools are not prisons. And given the horrible fiscal situation we're in right now, we should eliminate the SRO program entirely, reallocate those funds to mental health resources, and when we're in a better fiscal situation, then we can reimagine what this program looks like to actually facilitate community policing instead of the terrorization of our students who disproportionately, as Nate said, wildly disproportionately are Black and brown students.
And I quickly wanted to say that MCPS prides itself on leading on so many issues, right? We see COVID-19 recovery plans, budget, anything else, right? We pride ourselves on innovation. This issue is not an issue that's MCPS specific, right? I was reading data on Prince George's County, and I forgot which year. I think it's 2016, 2017, or 2017, 2018. And of their 350 arrests, 300 of them were Black students. I mean, those numbers that I read right there, it's gross, it's inhumane, and we have statistics that resemble the same issue in Montgomery County. And again, in Montgomery County, Black students are only 21%. But I have to double check which year. I have this up right now, 2016, 2017, 340, there were 349 arrests, and 255 of those were Black and Hispanic students. And that is 4.25 times their white peers, which they were arrested, which there were 60 arrests for white students. I mean, that in and of itself should say, is this program actually helping out our Black kids and our Hispanic kids and our impoverished kids in our school buildings? Or are we literally funding the school to prison pipeline?
I just completely want to echo everything Matt and Nate said. I think they covered it pretty much, so I don't want to be redundant. But I don't even think there needs to be a need for reallocating funds to say that this program, this system is broken, and it needs to be fixed before things continue to oppress very specific populations.
And to be clear, as Nate was saying, like, there's plenty of really good SROs out there who really do build strong relationships with students, who do the work for community policing. But the issue is, so long as the program, it remains broken and the purpose of the program has strayed so far from its original purpose, the program can't exist, and it's irreparable and we need to start over.